The only way that we can affect that basal metabolic rate is by increasing muscle mass. So, the more muscle we have on our body, the more calories our bodies will burn at rest. I truly believe in this, not only for weight management, but for longevity. Protein is the key, the building blocks to building muscle in our body. And most women are under eating protein. They're probably getting maybe 60 to 70 grams of protein per day. We want to be aiming more for 1 gram of protein per 1 pound of body weight or goal weight. So, for example, I'm going to speak in pounds here. If a woman is, let's say, 180 pounds, her goal weight is 150 pounds, and we want to be getting at least 150 grams of protein per day. Now, why is the protein so important? Besides building muscle, it keeps you very full and satiated.
Whether you're dealing with menopause-related symptoms or looking to improve your overall health, this podcast has something for everyone. Hello, and welcome to Moving Through Menopause. I'm here today with Sarah Frenza. We're talking all about weight gain during perimenopause, and Sarah's got her own story that we'll be hearing about later. Sarah is a women's nutrition and body transformation coach, and she's a published fitness model. I couldn't believe those photographs of you. They're amazing. So welcome so much to the podcast, Sarah. It's wonderful to meet you.
Thank you for having me. I'm really excited to be talking with you today and your audience.
Oh, you're very welcome. It's wonderful to chat from across the pond. And so, many women over 40 are navigating weight gain. And
Yes.
you've come up against this yourself. You speak from experience, but I understand that you've developed a blueprint for body confidence. I'd really love it if we could kick off with some tips right from the get-go. Tips for women who want to improve their weight management.
Yeah. So I would say the top three ones that I recommend for women is number one, strength training. Number two, and I'll touch on each one of them. Number two is going to be getting enough protein in your diet. And number three is managing stress. Okay. So if we can do, and these are the three main pillars that we focus on with our clients. We primarily work with women over 40 that are going through this menopausal transition. And these are the pillars that we work with on. Strength training is super important during this time to help with maintaining weight and preventing that typical weight gain that happens during perimenopause and menopause for a few reasons. So as we age, we are losing muscle mass. We know that we're losing this at the age of 30. It starts at the age of 30, and then it also it speeds up after the age of 50, unfortunately. Few reasons why this is happening is because of our activity level. We typically tend to not move as much as we did when we were younger. And number two, as we go through perimenopause and menopause, we're losing estrogen, and estrogen is a muscle building hormone. So if we can strength train and help us at least preserve lean muscle mass, the goal is actually to build lean muscle mass with strength training. That'll help our resting metabolic rate. Okay. We know that 70% of the calories being burned daily from us comes from our BMR, which is our basal metabolic rate. And the only way that we can affect that basal metabolic rate is by increasing muscle mass. So the more muscle we have on our body, the more calories our bodies will burn at rest. So if we can engage in strength training, at least 2 to 3 times a week to get started. If we can get to 4 times a week, that is great. But if we'll see great results even with 2 to 3 times a week of strength training. So that's the first thing that I would always recommend. Needs to be actually a non-negotiable for women over 40. I truly believe in this, not only for weight management, but for longevity. Okay, we want to be able to be strong in our bodies so that we can, travel in our retirement, so that we can have mobility in our retirement. And we also know that studies are showing here how, having more muscle mass on our body can help things with, insulin resistance. It will also help us with preventing a lot of disease like cancer and things like Alzheimer's and dementia. So multiple benefits to doing that.
Mm.
That's the first thing that we want to focus on. And when we're doing strength training, the type of strength training and how we're working out is really important. I know a lot of women, they tell me, "Oh, I am strength training, I'm doing group fitness classes and I'm lifting weights in the group fitness class." But the reality is that it's not enough to stimulate muscle growth. So we need to be focusing on progressive overload training, meaning that we're doing a set program for at least 6 to 8 weeks at a time. We want to be trying to lift heavier each week. So, we're going beyond the 5 pound weights. We're lifting a lot heavier week after week so that we can really stimulate and signal to the body to build lean muscle mass. And the type of movements that we want to be doing is compound movement. So things like squats, deadlifts, rows, you know, um, hip thrusts. We want to be doing pull-ups. We want to be focusing on these. Yeah. And we can transition to a pull-up,
Mm.
we can
Yeah,
start
yeah.
a beginner level, but transition to a pull-up. It's not going to happen right away, but we can do variations of that. And, when we're focusing on these types of exercises, the reason why these are so beneficial is they're the best bang for your buck when it comes to an exercise. They are multi-joint, multi-muscle exercise. So you're getting, a lot of benefits from that
Wow.
one movement as opposed to a singular joint movement. So that's
Yeah.
the first thing.
So, the thing is, you said a few things then that I know will go completely over the head of a lot of people who are not familiar with the parlance, the language that
Yes.
you used. And you know what, Sarah, you weren't always familiar with this language, were you?
No, I was not. That's right.
No.
Yes.
Well, so, you had your own journey with having children and gaining weight, just like so many women, and then you discovered this for yourself.
Yes.
You reached a point, I guess, one day you decided you were going to do it and you did it. Is that what happened?
Yeah, I had my children later on in life, in my late
No.
30s. So I had gained a lot of weight with both of my pregnancies. I tried all the fad diets out there to try and lose the weight. But ultimately, it came to a point where I didn't feel like myself anymore. I felt like I was walking around in a body that didn't belong to myself. And one day I just woke up and I was like, you know what? Things need to change. I don't feel good about in my body, and that's when I started going down my journey of, trying to lose the weight. But then I also did hire a coach, which really, she is the one that really, really taught me, the importance of strength training and learning to strength train. And you're right. You're exactly right. I had no idea what progressive overload training is, right? What, and really in layman's terms here, all what this means, ladies, is that every week we're trying to lift a little bit heavier and we're repeating the same program over and over again. What I was doing before I was working with the coach, I was going on YouTube and I was just finding random workouts. I was doing, a lot of ab exercises, thinking, oh, this is going to target, like, this is going to get rid of all that belly fat that I have in my midsection here. And what I noticed is that months of doing that, nothing was changing with my physique. So that is, a friend of mine had actually posted a transformation photo of herself, a before and after photo on Instagram. And
Mm.
so when I looked at her photo, I'm like, wow, okay, her before photo looks like me. And what her after photo is how I want to look like. So I had reached out to her and I said, "Hey, like, you look incredible. You look amazing. Can you tell me, like, what did you do?" And so she had told me that she had worked with a body transformation coach. She gave me her contact information. Of course, I stalked her for a few months on Instagram. And then I finally decided, you know what? I want to do this. I don't want to waste my time anymore, because at that point, I was 40 at that time. I'm turning 46. So this was, almost 6 years ago. And, I started working with her and she really taught me the importance of strength training. She taught me the importance of eating enough protein in my diet. Before that, I was just kind of winging it. I was counting calories, but I didn't understand the importance of eating enough protein in my diet and why that was important to help my body transform. And so
Mm.
while working with her, she really helped me get into the best shape of my life in my 40s. Like I look better now than I did in my 20s and my 30s because
Mm.
of the fact that I have more muscle on my body, because I focused on building muscle, which ultimately helped me lose the body fat and really improve my overall body composition.
I mean, this is the story that we are hearing more and more often. That building muscle helps us to burn fat and change the composition of the body. And it gives us an aesthetic that's appealing as well,
Yeah.
which is something that lots of people strive for. Like you said in the photographs that you saw of your friend, but it does require an awful lot of dedication. And so many women in the 40s, they're at the peak of their career, maybe
Yeah.
they may have a young family, and so time is really at a premium.
Mhm.
And I know from my own experience, this takes dedication and time. So how can women make that adjustment so that they are making the time for themselves to effect this amazing health transformation that you're talking about?
Yeah, I would say I'm going to speak from personal experience here because when I went through my own journey, I was at the peak of my career. I have two young girls as well. Now they're 11 and 9, but they were still fairly young when I started this.
Mm.
For me, it was being very organized with my time. And when we work with our clients today, the ones that are very successful in our programming, and I mean, I'm working with doctors, surgeons, I'm working with women that, have businesses, they're entrepreneurs, they're leaders, okay? They don't have a lot of time. Their schedules are packed, they've got children that are in extracurricular activities, and what we work with them on is teaching them how to be organized with their time. So, spending the time to do a little bit of meal planning, spending some time to do a little bit of meal prep. Some of our clients actually have home chefs that come into their home and we help them with
Oh.
that, right? Like, not very expensive when we look at,
Mm.
the cost for their time. They'll come in maybe 3 hours a week and they will do a big meal prep
Um,
for them. And
mm.
if not, our clients do. And we really try to keep it simple for them. Prepare 2 proteins, prepare 2 carbs, get some veggies roasted in the oven, and we can make multiple meals out of that. Or let's do crock pot meals, let's do casserole meals so that you and your family are enjoying these foods, but they are in alignment with your goals. And when it comes to exercising, we don't need to be working out 7 days a week. I think that's what women think. Oh, if I want to get fit in my 40s, I got to dedicate 7 hours a week to this. No, most of our clients are working out 2 to 3 times a week, some 4 times a week. They're 45-minute workouts. And the thing is that we are putting it into their schedule at a time that is very convenient for them. So I think the two main things is being organized when it comes to your nutrition. So taking literally 10 minutes to plan out your meals for the week. What am I having for breakfast, lunch, dinner, my snacks? And it's okay to, if some women are okay with eating the same foods, 3 or 4 days in a row, then keep it simple. Same breakfast for 4 days in a row. Keep it simple. Maybe you're having whatever you're having for dinner, you're going to have for lunch the next day. And maybe you do the same snacks for 3 or 4 days in a row. Most of the women that we work with, this works for them. So they're okay with eating the same foods because it's an
Mm.
alignment with their goals, which is primarily, making sure that they're hitting the right amount of calories and they're getting enough protein in their diet. So that's what I would say is get organized with your time and really just spend a little bit of time planning things out ahead of time.
So did you have experience of working out before? Were you into fitness when you were younger, or were you
When
into
I
an athlete of any kind?
No, I was never an athlete. I did work out when I was younger, maybe in my 20s for a few years. And then I did actually work in a fitness club. I actually managed fitness clubs, but I never
Oh, nice.
strength trained. I always did the group fitness classes. So I had never had experience with strength training
Mm.
this way with progressive overload training. So when I worked with the coach, she gave me a program on an app that I just followed along. And I started off with some dumbbells at home, with some resistance bands and a stability ball. That's all I started off with. And for me, home workouts worked for me because number one, I live in the country. So a gym
Mm.
close by to me was a half an hour commute, which I didn't want to
Uh,
commit to. And so for me, doing home workouts worked out well for me. And actually, 80% of our clients work out from home because it's just more convenient. And if time is precious to them, they don't want to be commuting back and forth to a gym. So I started off with dumbbells, like I said, resistance bands and a stability ball. As I started getting stronger, I start to build up my gym. So I went to more heavier weights and got it
mm.
invested in a bench, and I just continued to work out at home.
Oh, okay. Well, that certainly helps with the time element that we were talking about earlier, doesn't it?
Yes, I was working out in the morning before my kids got up. I don't do that anymore just because I need more rest now that I'm in perimenopause. But at the time, 6 years ago, I was able to get up at 5 a.m., get my workouts in before I got my kids up. But again, it was playing around with times that worked well for me, my family, and my schedule. And that's what we encourage a lot of our clients to do too, is find times that work for you, your family, and your schedule.
Good advice. So, for people who've never done anything like this before, the thing that happens to us, as you said, in perimenopause and menopause is the loss of estrogen and the
Yes.
declining muscle mass. And the other thing is the inflammatory profile changes somewhat so that
Mhm.
women can be experiencing aches and pains.
Yes.
And and this kind of conundrum between when you experience discomfort and an approach to training and strength training in particular, if you've
Mhm.
got aches and pains, is that something that you've experienced with your clients?
Yeah, we have a lot of clients that come to us with, maybe they have knee issues, back pain. We work with our clients. So it's like, what's hurting you? We could still strength train. Let's just work around that injury. And also, using more support and doing a lot of the exercises, right? So either we're doing a supported, lunge, we're doing a supported type of exercises to give them a little bit more stability in those exercises to help. But, depending on what they have, like we've had clients that have lower back pain or they've had injuries, and we're doing more maybe seated exercises as opposed to standing exercises. But the best thing for them too, when it comes to inflammation, a lot of women, they need to focus on rest and recovery. And that is a really big thing that we focus on with our clients is, making sure you're managing stress, making sure that you're trying to get adequate sleep so that we can help with that inflammation that happens during this menopausal transition.
Mm. That's all we can do, really, isn't it? To
Mhm.
work with what you've got. But I
Yes.
think lots of people are afraid. Pain and damage is language that's very emotive, and it can really be a barrier for people. But in my experience, you just can't go wrong with getting strong. And somebody else said that, and I liked it.
No, you really can't. I mean, I could give you an example right now of a client that came to us. She has a knee injury, and it was in a lot of pain before she came to us, but by moving her body more and actually strength training, her pain has significantly gone down. So a lot of
Mm.
times by building that muscle, we can help the body. But yeah, I understand. And I think that was a fear of hers as well, too. And I said, listen, we are here to guide you. We're going to work with you every step of the way. And we're not going to do things that are going to aggravate you, but you have other limbs, you have other body parts that we can actually move. So let's move the other body parts as your knee heals. And we've seen significant changes in just a 7 week period, less
Yeah.
pain in her knee. She's able to move more. She has more ability. And, I do believe that, and I know that that is because we're building more muscle and strength in other parts of her body.
Yeah. And like you said before, that's improving insulin sensitivity, which is another contributor to systemic inflammation. So I like what you said, you've got other limbs.
Yeah.
Use what you've got, the bits that do work. And eventually, you will be changing that inflammatory profile that could, in fact, open this window then for you to develop and move on to other movements, other more strenuous movements.
Yes, exactly. I mean, I suffered myself with a tear in my
Um,
shoulder. And
mm,
so personally myself, I didn't do movements that aggravated it, but I still did a lot of other movements. I worked on my glutes, I worked on lower body, I worked on my back. I still continued to train so that I didn't lose any muscle mass by
mm.
stopping my training. And so that's what we tell a lot of women is we can work around it.
Yeah. So you talked about recovery and stress management, and that was one of your three top tips.
Yeah.
In my experience, if I'm feeling stressed, worried, anxious, just the best tonic is to do a workout. But
Mhm.
but there are times when rest versus the workout, you've got to have that
Balance.
conversation with yourself. Somebody once said to me, if you lie on the ground, if you're tired, you feel tired, lie on the ground, close your eyes. If you fall asleep, it means you needed a rest.
Oh,
If you don't, then maybe go and have a workout. How about that?
yeah, I love that. I love that. I think it's really important to manage stress because we know that estrogen and progesterone is declining during this time of our lives, during this transition. And both of these hormones help us deal with cortisol. And so our ability to deal with stress, like our body may have not shown symptoms from stress when our stress was at a 9 out of 10. Maybe we started to show symptoms of stress. Now if our stress is at a 5 out of 10, that's when we start to show symptoms of stress. So it is really important to incorporate some stress relieving activities. One of the best ways to reduce stress is going for a leisure walk. It is
Mm,
one of the best ways to reduce cortisol in the body, but also doing other things like sauna, meditation, prayer, whatever it is that really can calm the sympathetic nervous system down. It's important to work that in. And, I know we're talking about doing a lot of things, and maybe the woman listening to this right now is thinking, how can I actually fit that into my day? And it doesn't need to be an hour, it could literally be 10 minutes. Maybe you do a guided meditation before you go to bed for 10 minutes if that's something that you like. Maybe you journal. Maybe you take these breaks when you're feeling a little bit of anxiousness, because that is also a symptom that can happen during perimenopause and
mm,
menopause. You start to become more anxious. Filling in these things into your day or into your week that can really calm the sympathetic nervous system down and bring down those cortisol levels. Because we do know that when cortisol levels are high, women tend to also put on more belly fat. So we
mm,
want to
mm,
ensure that we're managing and decreasing cortisol levels as much as possible with the activities that I talked about. Maybe it's
mm.
sauna, hot bath, meditation, journaling. Maybe it's a coffee with a friend. Whatever really help brings you joy and happiness.
Yeah. Those are really great suggestions. Thank you. And the last piece is the food. It really, we none of this works on its own. We've got to
Mhm.
put it together into a recipe for
Yes.
success, and you've done that. And so protein is that building block for muscle, and a lot of women are just not getting enough of it. If you're eating for muscle building, then you really need to consider that protein element, don't you?
Yes, it's really key. Protein is the key, like you said, the building blocks to building muscle in our body. And most women are under eating in protein. When women come to us and we do a nutritional assessment, they're probably getting maybe 60 to 70 grams of protein per day. We want to be aiming more for 1 gram of protein per 1 pound of body weight or goal weight. So, for example, I'm going to speak in pounds here. But if a woman is, let's say, 180 pounds, her goal weight is 150 pounds, and we want to be getting at least 150 grams of protein per day. And this could
Mm,
be, it's not something that you're going to do overnight, right? It's something that we can gradually build up to get there. So, if you're starting off with 70 grams of protein per day, then maybe our first goal is to get to 100 grams of protein. And the best way to do that is to divide that up over 4 or 5 meals. So you could do breakfast, lunch, dinner, and then 2 snacks. And then we're really dividing that evenly. So if our goal was to get 100 grams of protein per day initially, then we want to have 25 grams of protein per meal. And I think one of the best ways to do this, if you're going to be navigating on your own, is to use a tool like a food tracking app, like Chronometer or MyFitnessPal, because these type of apps will automatically calculate everything for you. So you're just going to enter the protein source and how much you had, and it'll really help you do a really good audit of your nutrition. I always encourage everyone to track their food. It doesn't need to be forever, but it is a tool that we need to use to help us understand how much, like, our quality of our food that we're getting. But it will help you with reaching those protein goals. So, what are really great sources of protein to help you reach those goals?
Yeah, good question.
If you Google, I did this the other day, and actually I had done this early in my journey, and I Googled protein sources. But when I look at the protein sources that Google gave me, they weren't actually very high in protein. It gave me
Oh,
things like nuts. Nuts are not really high in protein. They're more of a fat source than they are a protein source. It gave me a lot of other foods that weren't really high in protein. So, what we do want to go for is foods that are high in protein. So, things like, chicken breast, ground turkey, ground chicken. We can do beef. We could do fish, all sorts of fish. We could do Greek yogurt, like 0% fat Greek yogurt, or a low percentage of fat Greek yogurt is very high in protein. We could do cottage cheese, eggs, egg whites. For those that are vegetarian, you can go for tofus. That's very, very high in protein. So, first of all, we need to have our list of these high protein food sources and then plan how we're going to incorporate that. So, maybe for breakfast, it's egg whites and an egg. Maybe for lunch, it's some chicken breast. Maybe for your snack, you do a little bit of Greek yogurt. And then for dinner, you're going to pick another food source. Maybe that's a fish or a beef, whatever it is that you choose to. But that's
mm,
how you're going to start planning to reach those goals of getting the protein in. Now, why is the protein so important? It keeps you, besides building muscle, it keeps
mm,
you very full and satiated.
mm,
Another common, symptom for women that are going through perimenopause is they start noticing that their craving signal and hunger signal starts to go up. So they
mm,
have a lot more cravings. And so by eating enough protein in your diet, this can really help with that. It also helps regulate blood sugar levels. So a lot of women that we speak to, say at 3 o'clock, I crave sweets all the time. I can't stop eating sweets. Well, this can
mm,
really help with that. And so those are the two main reasons why we want to be having protein. It'll help support you with eating, with building enough muscle on your body. It keeps you full, it keeps you satiated. And actually the third thing that I want to talk about is that it
mm.
has a higher thermic effect of feeding. So what does that
Wow.
mean? It means,
Oh.
have you ever heard of that?
Well, I'm not sure that I have. Tell me more.
So our body actually burns more calories digesting protein compared to
Ah,
carbohydrates and fats. So if
mm,
we look at the thermic effect of feeding, could be about 20 to 30% in protein compared to carbohydrates and fats, which are down to about 5%. So our body is actually burning more calories digesting the protein.
yeah, that's right. I remember this now. It gives your body work to do. And
Exactly.
so that essentially then is burning energy just by processing the protein. Oh, well,
Absolutely.
that I must say that sounds like a win-win in my
It
book.
is. It is. Absolutely. So, yeah, those are the top 3 reasons why it's important to be consuming the protein. Number 1 is
Mm,
to build muscle and preserve
yeah,
it. If anything,
yeah,
even
yeah,
to
yeah.
help you preserve lean muscle.
Yeah, that's great. Those are great tips. Thank you for that. It's, the difficulty that so many people have is starting with such fabulous intentions and then just falling off the wagon.
Yes.
So, what is the secret to sticking at it?
Well, I think having some accountability is number one. I do feel that I am a coach, but I've hired many coaches, whether it's business coaches or whether it's also fitness coaches, because I do
Mm,
feel that accountability to someone really helps you stay committed and following through on your actions, but also not wasting your time with doing things that
mm,
are not effective. And that's one of the reasons why I hired a coach, is because I was trying to do, how am I going to get enough protein in? I'm Googling this. What workouts are the best to burn my belly fat?
mm,
And, Googling and YouTubing videos. I was just really spinning my wheels. And I realized that, months of doing this, nothing really changed in my body. And so I think when you hire someone, it's like a teacher, and you're really fast tracking to where you ultimately want to get to, because they're going to give you the right plan, they're going to give you the accountability, and they're going
mm,
to give you the education that you need to understand why you are doing the things that you need to be doing. So
mm,
I would say number one, go with a coach. If you can't go with a coach, because I understand that that's not in it for everyone, then spend some time doing some research, spend some time really trying to figure out your nutrition. Start off with tracking your food in a food tracking app to understand where you're currently at. Are you eating a lot of processed foods? Are you eating more whole foods? And really try to aim for getting that protein intake up. We know that just by getting that protein intake up, we could see a lot of significant changes in body composition. But
mm,
ultimately, I would say working with the coach is the best route to getting you to where you want to be. And it doesn't need to be forever. It could be just
mm.
earlier on in your journey to helping you build up those foundational habits that can carry you on through for the rest of your life.
And actually, you've got a lot of free resources available at the moment,
Yes.
haven't you?
Yes, yes. So if you head over to my website at sarahfrenzafitness.com, you can get my hourglass body blueprint. I talk about the hourglass body because to me, that shape signifies strong metabolic and strong hormonal health. And so with the blueprint, I have lots of free resources like my protein packed recipe book, which have lots of recipes to help you reach that protein goal. There's also a workout program in there, and there's tons of other resources in there to help you kind of do it on your own as much as possible. So you have lots of resources in there that you can go and grab.
Awesome. That's awesome. Thank you. I turned all American, Canadian then just for a
Yeah.
minute. So the other thing is for you now, you're at that stage where you've achieved your goals, but it doesn't end there, does it, Sarah? We've got to be honest about this. I
Yeah.
think, maintenance, staying where we are, it takes work as well. We see so many times people achieving this goal, they're on the front page of the Slimming magazine,
Yes.
and the next thing, they're back to square one. So, how can we make sure that this journey that we take is a journey that lasts us for the rest of our lives?
I think this is a really good question, because this is one of the things that we work on with our clients in the last phase of our programming. Our last phase of our program, we take our clients through three phases. The first phase is called Restore, where we're restoring metabolic health and supporting hormones and building up foundational habits. The second phase is called our lean out phase. And this is where we help them, lose body fat and improve their body composition. The last phase is called Sustain, because we are
Ah,
teaching them how to maintain their results forever. And you're exactly right. We know that 95% of the people that lose weight will regain their weight back within the first 5 years afterwards. A lot
mm,
of them regain it back within the first year. And the reason why that happens is there's two main reasons. Number one, the way that they went into their fat loss journey was super restrictive and unsustainable. So they did something that they couldn't see themselves doing for the rest of their lives.
mm,
The number two reason why people regain the weight is because they have restricted their calories so low. They didn't prioritize protein, so they lost a significant amount of muscle during
mm,
that process. And so when we're losing a lot of muscle during that process, we're slowing down our resting metabolic rate, which makes maintaining that weight loss even harder. So that is why our approach, we're not dropping 20 pounds in 2 months. That's not going to happen. We are very really realistic with our clients and saying, you can expect a half a pound to a pound a week of weight loss. And we're doing it this way so that it's sustainable, so that we're preserving your muscle mass and we're teaching you habits that you can maintain for the rest of your life. So when we get our clients to our goal, the last piece that we teach them is, what does your maintenance calories look like? What do your maintenance portions look like? We work with them to teach them how to intuitively eat. We teach them to navigate, restaurants, vacations, birthday parties, all social events. And we really create a plan with them of complete lifestyle integration, meaning that this is when you leave our program, this is how you're going to live for the rest of your life. And so that is really the key part of it. It's like, we don't get to our goals. The hardest part is maintaining it afterwards, and
Right.
making sure that, the habits that we built up are foundational habits that we can carry on through for the rest of our lives. We teach an 80% whole foods, 20% fun foods rule in our program, so that it's not super restrictive, so that there's can still enjoy fun foods that they like to have, because we know that that's going to sustain them for life.
Perfect. I think we've solved the problem between
Yeah.
us. So thank you so much for your time today.
Oh, you're
Um,
welcome. Thanks so much for having me.
oh, you're welcome. Tell my audience where they can find you, please, would you?
Yes, but I am very active on Instagram, so you can find me there. My handle is Sarah_Frenza, or you can go to my website at sarahfrenzafitness.com. When you come to my website, I also do have a private Facebook community strictly for women over 40. So you can come and join that community. I do free live trainings in there weekly. I do live cooking sessions. It's really fun. We do Flex Friday every Friday in the community. So lots of really great resources in there, and also a community of like-minded women to support you on your journey.
Brilliant.
We do need to celebrate showing up for ourselves, and that's why we do the Flex Friday every Friday.
You're quite right. Well, give yourself a high five
Yeah,
and celebrate your successes, and that makes them stick,
exactly.
doesn't it? I'll share the links in the show notes so people know where to find you. Thank
Okay.
you so much for listening to this episode today. Please share this episode with a friend. Take care and bye for now.
Bye.
If you're interested in learning more about why protein is your best friend for body recomposition, listen to this next video with Josh Wood. Josh shares his expert insights into why resistance training, proper nutrition, and simple lifestyle changes are the key to maintaining muscle, boosting metabolism, and achieving long-term health.